We're here at Petronas Ayah Hitam and you can see a Polestar 2 and a Model 3 turning in. This Gentari charger here with 6 DC fast charger stalls and another 4 AC slow charging stalls. The good thing in Gentari chargers is that every EV can use them. In the future, Tesla superchargers will open up the non-Tesla EVs as well. So you have the Polestar coming here on the side. We've got a long range Tesla Model 3 with Jefferson parking next to mine. In this video, I'm going to talk to both of them about the pros and cons road tripping in Malaysia on a Polestar 2 and a Tesla Model 3 long range. Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Behind me, I've got Kayson and Jefferson. Kayson is driving a Polestar 2 single motor standard range, and Jefferson is driving the long range refreshed Tesla Model 3. So can both of you tell me, like, how's the road trip experience so far?
So far, it's been a lot better than the first few times I went around Malaysia. Because those few times I still felt a bit of range anxiety because of uncertainty, and there was a lack of charges at the point of time. Less charges at the point of time. But now, taking up from Singapore up the East Coast and down the West Coast, I really find there's no issue anymore. It was really doable in my Polestar despite the average range. It was much better this time around.
Okay. I'll also say that you've been very brave because you came to this station at 4% state of charge. Like, for most people, that is heart attack. How do you get used to it?
Generally, I think my comfort level is about 5%. That's the minimum I'll go to. So this is just a bit rarer. But the lowest I've been to in terms of my state of charge is 3%. It was towards KL, go to you at, what was the location again?
Ayah Kero.
Ayah Kero, yes. So that was also another risky one. But this one I'm less scared because Ayah Hitam has quite a few backup chargers.
Yeah, I can see quite a number here.
In fact, actually, we were trying to rush here, so we could have another stop just before here at Tangkak. But after looking at his battery level, we make the call to just press on to Ayah Hitam. And in fact, actually 4% is not a very big problem because besides having multiple stores here, just slightly further down at Kluang, there are a few 50 kilowatt DC chargers. So let's say if this is down for whatever reason, there's still backup that's within his 4% range.
You've been a long-time Volvo and Polestar owner. Now you've got a Tesla Model 3. Many people have been asking me to ask you, what's the difference?
Okay, so let's start with first and foremost. This is the newer version of the Tesla, whereas the one I was driving was the pre-facelift. So I guess there will definitely be some enhanced advantage this Tesla will give over the Polestar. So for one, it rides on a slightly more refined suspension, so it makes it a little bit more comfortable than the Polestar over bumpy roads. Then second, since this is a little bit more efficient, I understand the drag coefficient is now 0.219. I think it's one of the class leading figures. I managed to get a lot more range with this car compared to my Polestar 2. Ballpark figure about 50% more range. And I guess another advantage that I have is the Tesla app. I can see real-time all the statuses with regard to my car. I can change the charging limit, I can change the charging speed as and when I need it, just at the tip of my finger on the phone itself, without having to come back to the car, which I had to do quite often back then in the Polestar. But that being said, I think the Polestar has a lot more advantages. Maybe I can let Kayson run you through some of them, and I fill up any of those missing ones for the dual motor.
The Polestar advantages?
Yep.
Well, for one, I've been a passenger in multiple Teslas before in the passenger seat, and I still find my seats more comfortable in the Polestar. So on long distances, that is quite a nice feature. And also, I think the Google Maps in the Polestar does have better direction navigation compared to the built-in Tesla map. I do think the Polestar at higher speeds, it does feel more stable on the highway. Even though, I think maybe that's the benefit of having the stiffer suspension setup. So around corners, it also feels a bit more planted, and at the high speeds, it has a more stable feel. It doesn't feel as wallowy.
I think Kayson brought up one point about the infotainment system. So that's something that I miss in the Polestar a little. So this Polestar runs on the Android Automotive operating system, which means it's inbuilt Google system on its own. And what it comes with is a very user-friendly Google Maps. So for instance, sometimes we will plan our itinerary on our phone or computer on Google Maps with multiple stops. For the Polestar, when you share it all to that car, every single stop makes its way into the infotainment. Whereas for Tesla, we can only move or at least share one location at a time. So that it's where it's a little bit more inconvenient, but I don't think it's a showstopper. But I also add that for those who tend to drive a little bit more fun on the highways in Malaysia, having Apple CarPlay on your screen allows you to see the Waze app icons a little bit more clearly than where I would from my phone on the charging pad in the Tesla. So I guess that's pretty much what I miss in the Polestar. Otherwise, so far so good for this Tesla.
And you also like the driver's experience as well. Like I've always commented before, I've tried so many EVs in the past. The Polestar most closely emulates the Tesla driving experience, single pedal driving, and actually we talked about how the Polestar really is a driver's car. It may be more comfortable for passengers, but for drivers, it ages up a little bit for you, right? Tell us more.
I guess maybe the part would be the steering feel. At least technically what I heard is the turning ratio is a little bit different for the Tesla. So Polestar, it's something that I feel its angle is a little bit more natural. It follows the bands better. Tesla needs a little bit getting used to. But I would say once you get the hang of it, it isn't really a huge problem as well.
Very insightful. One last question for both of you. For a lot of our Singapore EV owners, so there are about more than 3,000 Teslas in Singapore. I think probably close to 4,000 or 5,000 BYDs in Singapore now. Many of them still have a lot of myths or questions about road tripping in Malaysia. They think, is someone going to steal my car? Is it going to be very hard to plan and find chargers in Malaysia? What's one tip you have for EV owners in Singapore making their first road trip to Malaysia?
Okay, I would say first ask what is your preferred driving style, and then from there minus off about 30% or 40% of your WLTP range, and that's where you will know whether you need to charge en route to wherever you are heading to, and that's assuming you are driving around close to speed limits. If you are driving a lot faster, then I would suggest that you do research on all the fast charging stations along the way. Singapore to KL, there are plenty, so both directions as well, so shouldn't be a problem. Look at PlugShare, look at Facebook, there are a lot of people sharing the different locations. KL to Penang, I would think it's there's a growing number of charging stations as well, so you don't really have to worry. But Eastern Coast, let's say if it's between Desaru and Kuantan, you might need to plan a little bit more. Calibrate your speed as well. But from Kuantan to Kota Baru, I would think by and large there are a few charging stations, so you shouldn't be too worried. Now I guess what's more worrying is between west to east, especially if you're on the northern side of Malaysia, i.e. between Penang and Kota Baru. That distance is about 300 plus kilometers, and you're going up mountains which will probably shave off quite a fair bit of range. So if you're going by that route, please plan properly, watch your speed. I think you should do well all around Malaysia.
I think in terms of my Polestar, it also helps that it has an accurate range readout on my maps, and I can rely on it when I road trip. So by the time I reach my destination or when I plan ahead, I get confidence in knowing that whatever the car shows me, I can trust it. And along the way, as it calibrates to my driving style, the readout also gets more accurate. I think there's a similar case for Teslas. So having a car with a reliable maps and knowing where to charge like your Teslas also do help.
I do echo this point. I think there are some EVs that are sold in Singapore that doesn't come with this integrated map that show you your battery percentage, estimated battery percentage when you arrive. I would strongly encourage our dealers to actually start bringing this map to assist our new EV owners and give them the confidence to actually drive beyond Singapore.
And manufacturers are also trying to encourage Singapore EV owners to feel safer driving in Malaysia. Like for Tesla Singapore, they recently announced you get your warranty, your service coverage, your roaming coverage here in Malaysia as well. And hopefully we'll see more brands do the same. Thank you so much, Jefferson Kayson, for sharing your insights road tripping here in Malaysia. It's been fun trying to convoy, trying to meet at larger charging stalls like this, which is great. Earlier, you all went to Seremban, there were 2 stalls. There were ice cars blocking it along the way. And then I nicely asked the owners to step out. There's still a lot more awareness that people don't know that EV chargers are for EVs. They think it's just like a
Parking
pub
space.
air or parking space. So we'll get there, and let me know what questions you have for any of us road tripping here in Malaysia. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and hit subscribe to stay updated to more EV road trips. Bye bye, and signing
Bye-bye.
off from Air Hitam Petronas.